Hello, I'm McKenna. I'm a part of STEP's Public Arts, the Youth Reclaim Artist in Residence in Port Hope. I spent a lot of my childhood learning to crochet, and then there was a pandemic and a lot of people picked up these hobbies again. And I finally learned to knit, which was something I never thought I would be able to do. It kind of went from there. I think it's kind of just when something clicks, and that was the hobby for me. This residency gave me a really great opportunity to learn something that I've always wanted to do, but didn't have like the time or scale or like materials to do, and it's really blossomed in a way I did not expect. This is the first time I've done something so large scale. I've mostly done, garments and stuff like that. But what was really important to me with this project was capturing Port Hope and my community, and that was kind of what I really wanted to do. And I think from there, I'm really interested in landscapes and lots of, texture and color. Duplicate stitch knitting is basically, instead of knitting the colors as they're on the needles, you knit a panel and then create the stitch on top of the existing stitch with a needle and thread. It's kind of like a coloring book doing the knitted duplicate stitch. I spent a lot of time writing a plan for the summer. Then I got to work designing, and that was probably the hardest part. I use Stitch Fiddle Pro or Premium. I don't know which one it is, but it's Stitch Fiddle. I would create a pixelated image from an image I had taken. From there, you strip it down and remove a lot of the detail that doesn't give the right impression for the image. It's basically making it as minimalist as you possibly can while it still looks like the thing. The reason I did that is I wanted to make larger scale tapestries, so I used a knitting machine to create the panels, which saved a lot of time that I didn't have. Through STEPS, I worked with a sustainability coach, which was a really great experience. I got to kind of work out what my angle was and why I was using the materials I was using. I learned a lot about what is sustainable and more things I can do, and it really expanded what I thought I could do with my craft. I assumed that using more natural fibers would be more sustainable, but something that I talked about with the sustainability coach was using different materials is okay and can be very good for the environment. Something I really focused on was using materials intentionally. So rather than making a sweater out of acrylic yarn, which can release microplastics into your water sources, making a tapestry instead and using that yarn with intention. Something that doesn't need to be washed is a better use of acrylic or other plastic fibers. Natural fibers are great for garments and stuff like that. Using lots of different textures of yarn when you're actually knitting on the needles can cause inconsistencies, so it's good to have a panel and a base you're working off of that will stay, intact properly. So the duplicate stitch worked really well for these kinds of projects where you want to use a lot of texture and color. It's not really possible without, doing something a little different. And I think it's important to use your materials intentionally. The frames used to display my tapestries are made out of reclaimed materials as well. A lot of it was found in my garage, and me and my mother put together these frames. They're painted with paint that I already had, and we kind of just put them together with garbage. And I'm very happy with them. Well, hosting a workshop is something that I never thought would be something I was doing, and then I was, and it went well. One of the participants in the workshop came back and showed the finished product, which was super heartwarming and nice that people are engaged with this kind of stuff, and it's a nice, cozy hobby to develop. I really want to make these things accessible because knitting is so intimidating. I was so afraid for years, and I always wanted to do it because it's tricky. It's very tricky. So the duplicate stitch, teaching that was trying to make it a lot more accessible. You can learn how the knit stitch works just by making it over and over again. That's really my intention. I want it to be accessible and shared, and my community is very important to me. It's a huge privilege to be able to do this, and I get to share it with other people. It's like the best thing in the world. That's what it is.